You've turned on Sexy Marriage Radio, where the best sex happens in the marriage bed. Here's your host, Dr. Corey Allen.
Welcome back to another episode of Sexy Marriage Radio, where we do believe that the best sex happens in the marriage bed or the couch or the table or the pool, the backyard, the car, wherever you might be with your spouse. We think that's where sex can be the best because we want to make it to where marriage not only thrives, but your sex life does as well. It comes along for the ride, and where we have straightforward, honest conversations every week about topics that are of interest to you in the Sexy Marriage Nation. So if you want to let us know what is on your mind or questions you may have, we're asking that you give us a call at 214-702-9565. That's our voicemail line. You can be first in line with your question, or you can email us at feedback@sexymarriageradio.com, where everything is read and sometimes becomes shows. Sometimes we answer off the air because we want to be a resource to help make sex and marriage all it can be for you. And if you like what you hear or what you see on YouTube, leave a comment, jump on iTunes, rate and review the show. That helps us spread the word in the sexuality category that married sex got some good stuff going on. So with that, I'm excited to welcome my guest today, Sheri Winston. She's a sexuality teacher, an award-winning author, and a medical professional. And so, Sheri, you've got 2 books, correct?
I do.
All right. So it's The Woman's Anatomy of Arousal, Secret Maps to Buried Pleasure, and then Succulent Sexcraft, Hands-On Guide to Erotic Play and Practice, which, I mean, those are fantastic titles right there in and of themselves. But Sheri, welcome to the show and to the Sexy Marriage Nation. I'm glad you can join us.
Thanks so much for having me on.
So I want to just dive right in, if you're okay with this.
Go.
I feel like a lot of times what happens when you're talking about married sex, and when you look at the female side of it, which that seems to be a lot of where your target has been based on your past, your career, you know, how it's evolved. Because I did some reading on you that you were a midwife, and that kind of then led into the education side, and you probably had a similar experience that I did, that when you started talking about sex, everybody wanted more information.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, hold on. We could be on to something that is worth doing a whole lot more of.
The sex or the information?
Both. But anyway, it's also, but it seems like one of the things that you do very well is target some of the female aspects of sex and sexuality and the eroticism and desire. And I'm curious, if you were to sum up, this is a difficult question right out of the gate for you, Sheri, but if you were to sum up the struggles most wives would have with their sexuality, what gets in their way the most?
Well, it's a great question, and I will get to it. I just want to say that I teach men almost as much as I teach women now, although I did start out in the world of birth and start out working predominantly with women, but that expanded because a lot of what I teach really is applicable to everybody, whatever kind of plumbing you have.
Sure.
But I do think women have a lot more challenges around their sexuality because I think our cultural model, the map we've been given, is a male-focused model.
Right.
And so women, I think, are kind of left in the dark, as it were, and their partners are as well, because they're doing things, or their partners are doing things to them or with them that they think are supposed to work.
Right.
Because that's what the model we've been given.
Right.
And then they don't. And then what often happens is we women tend to feel like there's something wrong with us.
Okay.
Right? We don't say bad map. No wonder I can't have an orgasm because the map that's leading me there is wrong. We think, oh, there's something wrong with me. And so
it's internalized or personalized rather than maybe I was sold or not given the information that was necessary?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so what I always like to start out with saying to women in particular, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. It's like you've been, somebody's been trying to play the piano and they think there's 22 keys on the piano. And they're trying to make good music, and you can make some good music just with the little part of the piano, but we've got 88 keys and foot
Right.
pedals. And so when we learn how to operate our whole instrument, and that includes all the parts of our genitals, including the ones most people have never heard about, and all of the parts of our psyche, of our heart, our mind, and our spiritual path as well, really. When we start coming at it from a holistic perspective and understanding that for a lot of women, the heart is just as important as the genitals.
Right.
Right? In fact,
yep.
right? You know, that if you really want to turn women on, you've got to start with our mind. You've got to start with our heart. You've got to go with our whole body.
Right.
Right? Turn us on emotionally and energetically, and then physically with the whole body, and then genitally, and oh my goodness, then we're using the whole instrument, and the music we can make is amazing.
Right. Then
Yeah.
you're truly making the beautiful music, which is the analogy you're talking about. But I'm curious because I hear, and from a lot of different people in the Sexy Marriage Nation, and then the clients I work with, I hear a lot of what you're talking about, that, you know, he dives in too fast. You know, it's a lot of the metaphor that, because his wiring, I mean, I'll speak for my kind, my wiring is so different than a woman's wiring. It's not that there's not a lot of similarities still, because we all started similar. You know, the whole
actually,
idea.
We're the default setting.
Well, fair enough. But
yes,
I just think of the correlations between, you know, a man's penis and a woman's clitoris. And then, you know, there's a lot of different similarities, even though they've evolved different in the womb as the process unfolded. But I don't want to get caught into that part. I want to get part.
I want to come back to that. If you promise, we can come back to that.
No, let's go there now then. Let's do it.
Well, let me just say this. The woman's clitoris is not the equivalent of the man's penis. Women have a network of erectile structures.
Correct.
I think of it as a crown, and the clitoris is the jewel in the crown. But we've got just as much erectile tissue in our body, in our genitals, as a man has in his penis. And so one of the reasons we're not playing the whole instrument is we think it's all about the clitoris, which is very important, very, very important. I don't want to downplay that importance, but we're not using the rest of the erectile network. And so we're not getting fully engorged. And so that's one of those misconceptions, is that those things are equivalent, and they're not.
Perfect.
But to get back to the wiring, though, that's just as significant. No, you want to stay on the genitals?
You've alluded to the idea of the entire erectile network. Let's go. Let's explore the network to its fullest.
Well, this is actually, that's what my first book is about. It's that women have a network of structures. And if we're using the map that we have in our brain of, there's the clitoris, right? So if we start there, the clitoris actually has three parts. The part that we tend to know about that sort of sticks out is the head of the clitoris. Underneath the hood, there's the shaft of the clitoris. And then there's legs. They're like a wishbone. They're about 3 or 4 inches long. So that's the three parts of the clitoris. And there's more. We have, in fact, can I show you my?
Yes.
I'm not sure if my earphones. All right. Okay. Allow me to show you.
Here we go. All right. Visual aids. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, hop on YouTube and you'll see.
See the visual aids. Okay. Head of the clitoris. The shaft is under here. The legs come down on either side. Underneath all this other stuff. Under the labia, on either side, under here, are the vestibular bulbs. And these are big, juicy wads of erectile tissue. Here and here.
Right.
And if these are not engorged, it doesn't feel amazingly wonderful when there's something moving in and out of the vagina.
Right. That's the idea of
So,
she's not then prepared because she's not fully engorged and aroused. Is that what you're describing?
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's more erectile tissue. There's two other areas of erectile tissue that are inside. There's the area above the roof, which is up there, and under the floor.
Okay.
And so now you see what I mean about like a crown, like there's
Yep.
this circuit, this ring of erectile tissue.
Yep.
And what can happen with women, if just part of that network is activated, we can still get aroused and we can even have orgasms, but we're not getting the full arousal and we're not getting the most spectacular kind of orgasms.
Okay.
So if you want to get the best, then you want to get every part engorged. And I'll also mention that you want to tend to go from the outside. So the bulbs are a good first area to work with.
Okay.
Then perhaps the clitoral structures. And then only at that nice level of arousal and engorgement would you go for the inner structures.
Okay.
And so what happens, I think, for a lot of people is we have what I call premature penetration.
Yep.
That with fingers or a penis, that there's entry way too soon before you have full engorgement of everything. And I'll also say that for women, it's also about that energetic arousal, that whole body arousal. So not only do we need full genital engorgement, we need our mind turned on. We
Right.
want our heart turned on.
Right.
And so you need both. So you need
Right.
full whole self-arousal as well as genital arousal. And at that point, then whatever happens is going to feel amazing.
Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because you've worked up towards it and both
Yes.
of you are fully engaged would be the ultimate. And that way it's satisfactory on both sides of this equation. But,
and one more thing, for most women, that takes 30 to 45 minutes.
That was going to be my
point.
question is we're talking about some time that's invested to make this process unfold because it's not as simple as just flipping a switch.
Right.
Okay.
It's really true. And I'll just add also that as we develop mastery of our erotic capacity, which we can all do, whatever kind of body we have, we can get better at making those things happen more easily and more quickly. So it is possible once you've really become a virtuoso for a woman to get pretty turned on in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
Although even with that erotic capacity really at your full mastery, even with that, it's still better when you take 45 minutes. It's always going to be better.
Okay. So since you alluded to it, the idea of we can become better virtuosos and turn that process faster, how? What are some ways that you have discovered or teach that are the best to not necessarily always speed this up? Because I can always hear my kind, because I would be quick to do this too. How do I make it happen faster? How do I speed this whole thing up? Because I'm a microwave dinner kind of a guy rather than a slow crockpot meal. But
there we go.
To the husbands out there, I'm going to say straight out, crockpot food is fantastic. So you're going to have to just wait for it sometimes because it's worth it.
It is.
But what are some of the things that can be done that do help at least become a better mastery over my own process?
Well, the thing is, it's like playing an instrument. It really is.
Okay.
And so we can develop skills and we can get better and better at it. And then we can become a virtuoso and keep learning. There's never an end to the learning. Right. And one of the great things about a long-term relationship is you really can be in a deep learning partnership with each other. And that's really one of the amazing benefits of that, is that you really get to learn that together. So how do you use those things? And you can use them not just to go quicker, but to go deeper, to get bigger, to have it be more pleasurable. So they're multi-purpose tools. Right. And the way I think of it is, that we have tools of the mind, the body, the heart, and the spirit. Okay. That we were all born with these toolkits. Mm-hmm. So the body tools are breath, sound, movement, touch, smell, taste, and the other one. Breath, vision.
Right.
And our vision includes our outer vision, and when we close our eyes, our inner vision as well.
Right.
So we can use those tools. And the sort of the key tools are going to be breath, sound, and movement.
Okay.
So for example, by taking some deep, slow breaths and making sounds of pleasure, and perhaps even, undulating a little or playing with your pelvic floor muscles, for men and women, playing with your pelvic floor muscles, you can start turning yourself on.
Okay.
And also to keep in mind that arousal is actually a dance between excitement and relaxation.
Okay.
So sometimes what we need to do is calm down, get centered, get relaxed, not be so distracted by our brains.
Mm-hmm.
So the same way we can use the same tools. We can breathe more slowly to calm ourselves down. If we're feeling like we're not on the same wavelength as our partner, we can breathe together to
Right.
get synchronized.
Right.
And we might want to start with nice, deep, slow breaths, maybe eye gazing, or, maybe just, taking a moment to share words.
Right.
You can do it as part of ritual. It can be spiritual. So we can use all of those
No,
things.
I get it, because you're almost describing, because I think a lot of times for married couples, and this is what happens in my own life, is how do I transition from a busy day with kids and schedules and being a chauffeur and housework and dishes and all that stuff that's not a turn on, unless I do believe in the power of the mind and the spirit, that we can make those things a little more turn on-ish by just how we approach it and what we do with it and the banter, that we can reframe it and use some power within that. But there's still that element of what you're describing is a great tool to transition from caregiver, manager of household roles, lover roles.
Yeah. And we create the transition ritual that works for us. It might be that maybe you go take a shower together, right? And that's a lovely way to wash off the day and shift energy and start becoming, sensual with each other and connected. Or maybe we I know a lot of your audience are Christian. Maybe we pray together, right? Maybe we take a few moments.
Yes.
Maybe we do a gratitude prayer where we just, gratitude is so powerful, whether you do it with a spiritual inclination or not.
Absolutely.
But to take a little time and maybe share 3 things that we're really grateful to our partner for.
Yeah.
And that starts connecting with the heart and the love and the opening the heart. And so we can create anything we want that's going to fit us perfectly and our lifestyle.
Right.
But a transition ritual is so helpful because we do have to shift. We have to go into a different space. And then all of those same tools can help us get more aroused, more turned on, more excited.
Yep.
And the mind tools, our awareness, our attention, what we're focusing on, and those are all trainable. Those are all things we can teach ourselves.
Okay. And so you're just describing that as this process is unfolding, not only how we enter into it, but how we continue these skills throughout it. You're basically talking about this allows us to slow down and go even deeper, slow down and connect even more, or just to be more aware and experience and savor more than, because I know a lot of times for married couples as well, we get caught in this whole, I don't have a whole lot of time unless we're on vacation. And that's why vacation sex always has its own aura to it, because you just take a lot of those life pressures out. And it truly is just some time to, you just recreate why you love and dig each other, right?
Right. Well, you have fun, having fun together.
Right.
And a lot of the things in our lives aren't that much fun. Who's making dinner? Who's washing the dishes? Who's taking care of the kids?
Right.
It's just not that much fun. So vacation enables us to have fun. We're doing new and exciting things. So all of those things, bringing in novelty and newness, is really is important. Having fun together.
Right.
doing something that actually gets your adrenaline up, like go ride on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that alone gets you excited and your
Right.
your adrenaline up. And then you look at your partner and you're like, oh, I remember you. You were
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
So
okay.
there's lots of ways to use the tools.
Right.
And the other thing about vacation sex is we're not surrounded by our stuff.
Right.
So I'm not looking at the pile of dirty laundry or noticing that there's cobwebs on the ceiling. and back to just the sort of energetics, that's sort of what I like to think of as pussycat and puppy dog energy.
Okay.
So pussycats, we're distractible.
Okay.
If I see cobwebs, I'm not thinking about the pleasurable thing my husband is doing to me. I'm thinking, oh man, I've got to get up.
Wow.
Look at those. I got to dust.
What's it going to take to get up there to dust all of that? Wow. Okay.
Exactly.
Add that to the list. Right.
Okay. So vacation is good because it's not my house. It's not my stuff. It's not my mess. So it is important to create an environment, especially in your bedroom or wherever you're going to play, that's beautiful, that doesn't have mesh, whether it's you curtain something off or you throw some cloth over it, or you make sure your computer's in another room, you don't have your phone by the bed. You really create an environment that's sacred and special and non-distracting.
Yeah, we're advocates of your bedroom is the sanctuary for sleep and sex, and that's the only thing that goes on in there. That you don't pay bills in there, don't have tense arguments in there.
Yeah,
it truly is just for that, because there's something about the energy and the memories that we make can either help us in fanning the flame or squash that stuff. Because you're describing, if you trip over piles of laundry in the midst of some erotic thralls, it's going to be, one of you's going to lose it, most likely.
Most likely the pussycat.
Maybe we should stop and fold laundry. No. Folding laundry is not foreplay. Sorry.
Well, sometimes I say, like, washing the dishes is actually pretty good foreplay. But okay, that's serious. Not really. It's good for creating that environment where I will feel more free and less distracted. But to go back to the pussycat puppy dog thing for a moment, I think it's been a really useful analogy for a lot of people. So when I talk about taking more time and going slow and understanding the differences, just think of it like you don't play with a dog the same way you play with a cat.
Right.
Okay, so most dogs, most friendly dogs, I haven't been traumatized, most dogs in about 30 seconds, they'll be on their back going, rub my tummy, right? Right? They're like, they're eager and enthusiastic, they love to play, they're loyal, they're focused, they love to have a job. A dog wants a job. And what does a dog want after it's done a good job? It wants to be told, good boy.
Good job.
Good job. Good. I say to my husband, great dog. It's not good dog. It's great dog, right? Great dog. I said that this morning. Great dog. Yeah. Because I don't know. He just did some little thing that needed doing. I'm like, great dog, right? Yeah. And he's so like, he loves
it's a term of endearment. Absolutely.
It is. And it's not even just you were a good dog. You were great. Anyway, so dogs like praise. They really, treats are good too, but praise is good too. So I know that what part of making him happy is I know that when he gets praised, admired, he gets treats, he gets appreciated, it really means a lot to him.
Okay.
It's not as important to me. I like it. It's just not as important.
Right. A pussycat's not into the praise like a dog, like a puppy dog for sure.
No, I want to be, I want the right kind of attuned attention.
Okay.
So if you come over to my house and you want to play with one of my pussycats, right? Are you going to run up to the cat and grab it and try and rub its tummy? Of course not, right?
Right.
If you want to play with a pussycat, first you get its attention, right? You're like, and you make eye contact.
Yep.
And then you have to show that you're safe, because a pussycat cannot relax and open until she feels safe. And you are going to approach the kitty. You're but you've got to do it at the right pace. And how
Right.
do you know? You look at the signals.
Right.
Right?
You read the situation going on between you.
Exactly. So is she opening towards you? Okay, then you keep going. Is she kind of closing up a little? You've gone too fast.
Right.
And so if you do want to rub the kitty's belly, if you want that, I like to call it that purring puddle of pussy, cat.
Mm-hmm.
If you do want that, you've got to show that you know how to give her pleasure
Mm-hmm.
and that you're safe and you're paying attention to her signals. And when you do that, she will slowly unfold, relax, open, and then just surrender.
Right.
And that's what you want, right? Then you're being a great dog.
Yeah.
Right? Then you're doing a great job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because then you're both experiencing what can be created together at its heightened fullness, right? That it truly is that depth that's beyond just what you do physically. That's like an essence of the intertwining of souls almost. That's almost the spiritual bonding that can happen with sex. That's the truing, to me, it's that true knowing and being known, right? That's really intimacy of where you do just kind of melt into each other, if you will.
Right. I mean, and isn't that one of the translations of sort of, somebody knew somebody, right?
Right.
In the Bible, that is the translation of that. And
Yep.
I think that that's really accurate. And I think amazing sex, I like to say it's the glue and the lubricant of long-term relationship.
Okay. That's a good description. Yeah.
Right. It helps you stick together. We need to stick together, right? It's a tough world, and we need to stick together. But also there can be friction. It can be, but we need that little bit of slip and slide. So great sex does that. It's so, I don't know. In a way, it's underrated. I mean, I know people have a lot of emphasis on sex and its greatness, but I think it's also in some ways sort of not minimized, but as if it's just sex. And it can be.
Right, absolutely.
But it can also be that significant glue and lubricant.
Right.
That makes it, a joyful thing to be with your partner.
Right. And so what you're describing is, I mean, if I was to kind of sum up because we've gone a lot of places that all have landed in the same arena, if you will, that the goal is, how do I recognize that this is a dance? There's some give and take. There's some start, stop. There's some slow down, connect, reconnect, connect, reconnect. I mean, that it truly is. It's not just one thing if you look at it in its nuanced forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a sexual interlude is not just, okay, we began and we finished. It's a lot of little things in between it where there's some true knowing and being known, or some connecting and losing the connection because of a distraction, and then reconnecting. And that's where those tools come back in of, okay, I just need to breathe, get back engaged with my senses, get back engaged with the surroundings around me, and keep going, right?
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, I'll say probably more so with women, but for a lot of people, what goes on in our brains distracts us.
Right.
So, maybe something lovely is happening, and then we start, maybe we just think, oh goodness, my butt looks fat, or we get annoyed at our partner because they do something that isn't working for us, that we didn't like, or maybe maybe they say something and it didn't land for us the way they meant it, and so on and so forth. But anyway, we get up here, and we're up here, we're going up here, and then we're not in our body, we're not being present, we're not getting turned on, and we're losing that connected energy that we can get. And so it's really important to have a toolkit where we can notice, that's awareness and attention.
Yep.
Notice, oh, I'm not being present. I'm missing it. I'm missing all the good stuff right now.
Right.
So what can I do to get back? And to know I know the things I can do to get back. And I might just do them myself. I might just breathe a little more consciously, expand my breath, make some sound, move. I might let my partner know, oh, I got a little lost there. Come help me. Let's do something together that will help me come back or help us get reconnected. And so it's really, again, it's about having a big bag of tools of your own, your solo tools, I call them, and also having partner tools that we can work with together. And one of the things I recommend so strongly is that our sex lives are not just the times we're being sexual together, but that we need three different kinds of connection around sex. One is the spontaneous dance of the actual erotic encounter. Okay. I also think we need to talk about our sex lives when we're not having sex. Right. So that might be let's have a conversation about our sex lives. And you might want to start by going, I feel really kind of weird and awkward doing this. Yes. And I think it's important, and I've noticed maybe this is a pattern we have, right? I feel like I'm having some challenges around what happened, whatever. But to have those conversations, and also not all of those conversations should be about things that aren't working. Exactly. Yeah. This is not constant. Here's the problems we've got. Let's keep focusing on those in this area. Right. Yeah. So it's also important to have conversations of what's working, what's good. And I also like to throw in one of those at the end of an erotic encounter. We call it playing the highlights reel. Okay. So it's just, after when you're done and your kind of brain is back online, you just say to your partner three moments or things that happened that you really, really liked. Okay. And it could be, that moment where you just looked in my eyes and touched my heart. Yep. Or it could be something that's really kind of raunchy. But it's those, 3 moments that are just sort of standing out is really spectacular from that encounter. And that's another way of making sure you're having conversations about the good and the positive. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing are what I call playpens. And they're a session, a time and space that you set up to play a learning game. Okay. So say you want to get some of these techniques of how to use breath and sound and pelvic floor muscles, which is a great starting one. You might say with your partner, let's spend an hour practicing some breath, sound, pelvic movement techniques. Let's do maybe the first 10 minutes, we'll practice this, and then we'll practice that. Then we'll talk about it for 10 minutes. Then we'll practice another thing. Or maybe it's a 5-minute session. Maybe it's 10 minutes. It doesn't, there's no set amount of time except that what you set. Right. And that's great because sometimes a 10-minute playpen is all you have time for. Right. Sometimes you have 3 hours. Right. But the point is the intentionality that's underneath it all, that we're taking out the time to do it. Yeah. And it's a time that's specifically not about getting aroused and orgasmic, although that might happen, but it's a time for learning and communication. Okay. So, for example, many of us are not good erotic communicators. Okay. So maybe there's something I would like my partner to do, but I don't know how to ask for it. Or maybe my partner's doing something that's not quite exactly what I want. Right. Right. He's stroking my leg, but he's stroking it fast and I'd like it slow. Right. Right. It could be very simple. So anything that comes up, we can make into a playpen. So the playpen could be, let's do a playpen about touching and the different kinds of speeds of touching. Or let's do a playpen about feedback. Maybe we'll use foot massage. And I'm going to give you a foot massage, and you're going to ask for what you want, and you're going to give me feedback about how it's working. And then we're going to reverse. And then there are also, of course, techniques we can learn, specific techniques about how to give feedback in ways that work. Right. Right. You probably talked about the positivity sandwich. Talk about that? Well, yeah, a little bit, but I'm just thinking of this idea that
you're describing, because I don't know, I'm kind of going on a macro view for a second of marriage, that most of the people, especially in Sexy Marriage Nation, they're looking for more engagement and more eroticism or adventure or whatever in sex that would equate to better sex. But yet we don't always think of it in terms of, if I want to get better at something, I have to practice, but it's not just practice doing the act.
Yeah.
It's practice the other parts of myself and my relationship that are required in the act. And that's what you're describing here.
Yeah.
That it's not just spend more time in the lab, where you could just be creating a routine that's not really being effective, and you just keep doing what you always have done, and one of you's like painfully bored with it, you know.
Probably both of you are pretty bored.
Yeah, if you're honest. But you're talking about this idea of, okay, I need to spend some intentional time honing other aspects of me and other aspects of our relationship and each other, because that will then spin into this area of us.
Very much so. Think of it like if you were a musical duet, right? Sometimes you're going to get together and jam and just make music, and it's just going to be the music you make. And it could be really different at different times. Other times, though, you're going to want to try and rehearse something. You go, let's practice that riff. How did that go? It goes like this. Oh, here, let me try it. No, I'm not quite getting it. Can you help me get it? Yeah. Okay, right. So sometimes you're doing that, where you're learning and teaching each other how to do it. Maybe sometimes you just want to check in about, how's our musical duet going? What do we need to work on? What's working? What's not working? What can we do better? How can we become better musicians together? That's
a perfect landing zone right there for this.
I think so.
That we're in the point of trying to become better musicians together. That I have to carry my part, my partner has to carry theirs, and then we have to work together in harmony. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, Sheri, tell people how they can find more of you, because I have to believe in the Sexy Marriage Nation. This is going to be sparking some. I need some more. Tell people how they can find you.
Well, my website is the place to go to find all sorts of goodies. It's Intimate, INTIMAT, Arts, plural, ARTS, Center, spelled the American way, CENTER.com. There's blogs, there's video blogs and written blogs. There's all kinds of freebies and free webinars and stuff like that. You can also get my books. You can go through my website. You can go to Amazon and get my books there. There's also online courses and classes that I offer, which are recorded, in-depth classes about pretty much everything we've touched on.
Right. Exactly. Because
in this session,
there's a wealth of resources there. So
yeah. And if people ever want to do one-on-one, like Skype sessions, I'm available for that as well.
Perfect. Well, Sheri, thank you very much for taking some time with us to lead us down this journey. If nothing else, I'm taking to the bank the analogy of the pussycat and the puppy dog. That is a spot on description.
Isn't that useful?
It's very, very good. It's very, very good. Well, this has been Sexy Marriage Radio. To the Sexy Marriage Nation, thank you for taking some time out of your day to spend it with us. If we left something undone, 214-702-9565 is how you can let us know, and we'll pick up where we left off if we have to. So we'll hope to see you again next time. Thanks for joining us.